Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the OT Podcast.
Episode
we
2.
just got done with Week 1 NFL. I just don't understand how much of a crazy week this was in the NFL this year.
It always is week
1. Week 1's always all over the place. But we're going to hop into Week 2 predictions here today. We're going to get going on the Thursday night game, all these other things. But before that, we did tell you guys last time that we had a special surprise for you all.
Ooh, yes.
Owen and I are doing records this year, which means that whatever our record is, we have a fun little gimmick we want to show you all today. Owen went 14-2, I went 12-4, so
Yeah.
Owen gets the Lombardi Trophy of the Week 1
Beautiful
game.
It's so nice.
And so he is going to have that on his side of the pod today. So Alex.
Alex.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Owen, congratulations, buddy, on a Week 1 win. I will be coming for that trophy next week, hopefully. Hopefully you don't do as good as you did in Week 1. Because, oh, man.
This thing is bigger than me.
Yeah, this thing is large. So, without further ado, I guess let's hop right in.
Okay.
Bills, Dolphins on Thursday night. Dolphins are at home for this game in South Beach. Realistically, the Dolphins they win in the weather aspect side of things, being especially early on in the season. Even if they're in Buffalo, the weather's not as bad until like the winter time, or being in Miami where the weather's still warm. So realistically, Miami wins in the weather aspect. But who do you have winning this game on Thursday night? I think I can already tell.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very tough game. What's going to be really interesting is to see how the Bills' defense really performs here in this one, because
without Teron Johnson.
Yeah, we know what the offense could do, especially against a team like the Dolphins. So I think the defense for the Bills is really the big wild card here. If the defense plays anything like it did last week, I think there's a really good shot Miami wins this game. But I'm a homer. I'm going to go with my homer pick. I'm going to pick the upset. I'm going to take the +1.5 here. I'm going to go with the Bills over the Dolphins. And then again, if you guys want to see my score predictions, I have a score prediction video on my YouTube channel, Meister. You can check out my scores right there. But yeah, I got the Bills winning this one in a very close, tight matchup.
Yeah, man, I have to agree here, and I'm sorry. I don't think this one's all that close. I think 28-17 Buffalo gets it done. And
I hope.
Before all the Dolphins fans come at my head for this prediction, I'm sorry, but I've seen over the course of this week how it's kind of played out. Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert are most likely not going to play. And if that's the case, then they're not going to be able to run the ball. And if there's any quarterback in the league I want to have to force to throw the football, it's going to be Tua. I think that he's going to make a lot of stupid plays. I think they're going to have a really tough day at the office. You got Jalen Waddle, who's not fully healthy, against backup Cam Lewis. That is the wild card for me in this game, is going to see how Jalen Waddle fares against Cam Lewis. Yeah, he's been nursing that injury that he sustained last week, but he will be good to go. So that's the question, is will he actually, play very good in this game and kind of take advantage of the one Bills' weakness, which is that slot corner position with Johnson now out. I just think that they're not going to be able to do that. I think Tua's not going to be able to get into a rhythm like normal. They do a lot of play action, a lot of plays like that. So to not be able to do that this time around because you're not going to have a good running game, honestly, it's going to be a tough one for the Miami Dolphins. And then, of course, like you said, Josh Allen and the Bills. Right now, Josh Allen is averaging 3 touchdowns a performance against the Miami Dolphins. 3.2 touchdowns each game he plays against Miami. And we're talking historic levels in that situation against a team like Miami. I mean, Miami's not bad either. It's not like we're playing like the 2012 Dolphins, with
right.
Ryan Tannehill in his rookie year. We're playing a very good team in Miami here. And Tom Brady couldn't do that. And we had historically bad Bills teams, historically bad Jets teams. And Tom Brady never sustained that kind of performance against a team. Never that dominant. But Josh Allen is. And I think that that's why Buffalo wins by so much in this one.
All right. Guess we're going to move on to the Sunday games here. Guess we'll start off. I got the Browns and Jaguars first up on my list here. This is kind of like a wild card game too, because a lot of people saw. I don't know if you saw the Browns as like kind of like a decent in the mix for a wild card kind of team, but they kind of pooped the bed against the Cowboys last week.
Nicely.
Yeah, their defense did not live up to expectations whatsoever. Deshaun Watson struggled mightily. But again, he got sacked 6 times. He didn't have much help from the offensive line in that one.
It's not going to be any better in this one. You got Josh Hines out against him on the D-line. So
yeah, going against the Jaguars, a team that should have beaten Miami but had to fumble in the end zone. Thanks, Travis Etienne. And they had to fall to the Dolphins late in that one. And I think it's going to come down to whichever team really shows up. I think the Jaguars showed us a lot more last week than what the Browns did. So in regards to that, I'm probably going to lean towards the Jaguars winning this one because the Jaguars are really close to beating a decent Miami team. And they were close even though they didn't get it done. And the Browns just didn't show a whole lot of life last week at all. So I'm going to go with the Jaguars in this one because just the Browns just haven't shown a whole lot yet.
Yeah, I have to roll with you here in this one. One thing about the Jacksonville Jaguars for the last few years that's been a really big issue is that secondary. And I just don't think Deshaun Watson's the quarterback that can exploit that. I mean, last week you saw Tua hit Tyreek for that 80-yard bomb of a touchdown. I don't think Watson does that or anything like that in this game.
It wasn't like a bomb, though, either. It was like just like a little drag that
No, I know,
broke off.
but what I'm saying is still – I don't think that they win this game anyway. I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to get the job done. I think 24-17 is very reasonable. I think it could be a little worse, but I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars defense is just kind of bad. They're right there in the mix. So I think that heading into week 2, the Cleveland Browns are going to have at least a little bit better of a game on offense, but I still don't think it's enough to get them a win. I think the defense hangs in there for 90% of this game. I just don't know if they can get the job done. So I have the Jacksonville Jaguars 24-17.
All right, nice. We're going to stroll right along to the next matchup here. I got the Jets at the Tennessee Titans. And what are your thoughts on this matchup?
The Jets and the Titans, I think, I'm sorry, but Aaron Rodgers looked terrible in that first game. The interception I don't hold against him. It was like a tip and stuff. It was a whole situation. So, realistically, the interception I don't hold against him. But, he had so many different opportunities where he just, he kind of looked like a rookie Josh Allen in a sense where Josh Allen would pick who he was going to throw the ball to before the play would, end. So, literally, right before the whole play and stuff like that, he just kind of predicted who he was going to throw it to. It's like he snapped it and instantly throw it to Garrett Wilson. And that's the problem, is you can't do that in the NFL because you had guys wide open underneath. Lazard was wide open on a 3rd and 6, would have had the first down. Tried to throw it deep for Garrett Wilson, and it's broken up. That's just their drive killers right there. You're okay to dink and dunk, and especially against the 49ers defense that's so good like they are, you have to dink and dunk. You have to get their confidence lower because that's the only way to win a game like that. And Aaron Rodgers and the Jets just looked completely flat. Nathaniel Hackett needs to be fired immediately. Bro is he's got some sort of blackmail on Aaron Rodgers or something, or he's just buddy with him. I don't know because he should not be in the NFL as a job. Just throw me out there at this point. I can call better plays than that. But dude, I'm gonna go 28-14. The Jets win this one. I think they're upset after last week. I think they're gonna come out here and they're gonna play a very good game. I don't think the Titans defense is all that great. And then I think on offense that the Titans are going to be able to kind of whittle it down. I do think that it could be a situation where it's 2 field goals and then they go for a touchdown with 2 to get the 14 points. But I do think that the Jets end up blowing them out of the water. I think they have a very soft schedule for the next few weeks. The Jets do. So give me New York in this one, 28-14.
I like how you said how bad Nathaniel Hackett is. He needs to leave immediately, but I have him scoring 28 points in this one.
Well, that's the thing though, is I don't get how bad of a performance that was. I think that's what I'm kind of leaning into, is they're gonna come out and they're gonna want this one a lot because of how they started the year.
And plus, having the 49ers to play week 1 is a really tough draw. And like I said last week, going to the Steelers here for a second, the Steelers are a really good week 1 football team. And last year, they got blown out by the Niners at home. So I think that's more of a testament to how good the Niners are early in the season.
Right.
Compared to how other teams are like the Jets. So, and I don't see the Jets losing 2 games in a row. I think this team is different than a team in years past. I'm not too worried about the Jets, maybe than what you said.
If they lose this game, then
hit the panic button. Even though it's week 2, hit the panic button regardless. But yeah, the Jets.
You can't beat the Titans.
Yeah, the Jets should win this one,
Sorry,
you mentioned.
Titans fans.
Yeah,
I remember seeing that Titans fan at Tully's. He was so upset with his life.
He was not happy.
Or I didn't even mention the Browns fan.
I feel like you kind of expected that, though.
The Cavante Turpin punt return touchdown, and then he was like, yeah, you know what, I'm gone.
Yeah.
He gave up, bro. He really did just give up. But yeah, honestly, that's a tough game.
But yeah, the Jets should win in a blowout here. But again, you never know with these early season games. You really never know. That my computer won't let me sign in, even though it's a different. Oh my mother of God. Anyways. We're going to stroll into the next matchup here. The Las Vegas Raiders at the Baltimore Ravens. This is another game that is should be more one-sided here. I think the Ravens definitely should win this game. It's another team that I don't think should lose 2 games in a row, especially to the team like the Raiders that struggled pretty mightily against the Chargers team that sure does have a new coach and everything. But that was certainly an ugly performance. Only 13 points on offense for the Chargers, and it doesn't get any easier because now you have to play the Ravens
13
defense.
Points for the Chargers.
Yeah, didn't they only score 13? It was like 13-22?
The Chargers won 22-10.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the Raiders.
Oh, the Raiders scored 10.
Yeah. Okay, so they scored 10. So that's even worse. Even more favors my point here. But yeah, Lamar Jackson, I feel like should definitely have a bounce-back performance. He did play pretty well, I thought, against the Chiefs. Just, too little, too late, in that game. And, a couple centimeters out of bounds, too, costing some fantasy points, too.
The Chiefs need to be studied right there, man. That was... They should not have been that close.
Yeah, it shouldn't have, but I think the Ravens get back on track here with a win at home. Yeah, I got the Ravens in this one. Who do you got?
34-13, the Ravens win this one. I think that they get absolutely washed. And I'm being generous with 13 points, I think, honestly, in this game, considering the Chargers' defense only gave up 10. I think that the Raiders' offense is going to struggle a lot this year. Don't get me wrong. I like Gardner Minshew. I think he's a great quarterback. But at the same time, he's more of a feel-good story. He's kind of like a Taylor Heineke, where he's never going to be elite. He's not even really that great. He's just serviceable at best, and he's a feel-good story like Heineke was. I do think that the Ravens absolutely washed them in this game. I think that Raiders defense is going to struggle a lot in containing Lamar. I think Lamar's going to probably get at least a good couple runs, probably like 4 or 5 runs over 10 yards. I instantly think that this is just like one of the easy ones where it's like, oh, Ravens, Raiders, oh, yep, next. No.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sorry for the Raiders fans, but I get it. It's a tough matchup, but at the same time, you're going into Baltimore. You're playing one of the better teams, a team that just lost to your division rival who won the Super Bowl last year. They're not trying to lose 2 games. They lost like 3 or 4 all of last year. And so, like, realistically, like, this is not a good start to the season for the Ravens. They know that, and they're going to come out here, and they're going to play very, very well. 34-13.
Tough draw here for the Raiders here, too, opening up in L.A. and then having to go to Baltimore also. I feel like it's kind of a brutal start.
Honestly, it's not really a brutal start for me because they had the Chargers, man. They had the Chargers. I don't think the Chargers are great.
Chargers are a whole different, team, a whole new identity.
Yeah, but still, though, man, like... That's a game you gotta win. Those are the kind of matchups.
Like the toss-up games,
that's
when it comes
one
down,
where either one could have won.
Right. We're gonna move on to the next matchup. We got the last 1 p.m. game on CBS. It is the San Francisco 49ers at the Minnesota Vikings. Battle of 1-0 teams. Who do you got?
I have the 49ers 31-13.
Shocker.
Hear me out. I think the Vikings are going to be solid this year. I think Sam Darnold really proved everybody wrong in week 1. And honestly, the thing is I've been clamoring for Sam Darnold to potentially break out like Baker Mayfield did this whole offseason. I've been laughed at and stuff like that. But I do think that he kind of proved a point. 31-13. I think they're going to lose this one, sadly. It's just, you got such a good team in San Francisco here. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they end up with a little bit more, like maybe 17, but I can't see them scoring 20 on the 49ers.
Yeah.
I don't think that happens. I think Sam Darnold kind of comes back down to earth in this game, has maybe a pick or two, a dumb decision or two, but you're going up against a team that you worked against, that you were like with for so long. They know how you play. They know your playing patterns and stuff, and that's something that's going to kind of be shown really fast in this one. I think the 49ers run away early. If McCaffrey plays, then I don't think that the Vikings defense is going to stop Christian McCaffrey. Like last week, they got lucky because it was Devin Singletary that they had to play. So, realistically, this week, I think that the 49ers get going on the ground and they kind of just bounce back with a big win here. And,
Yeah, don't forget about the story of week 1, Jordan Mason, too, who went off last week.
Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. I would not play McCaffrey in this game. I think that it's better to just not. I don't think that McCaffrey makes that much of a difference. I think you win regardless of having him or not.
Oh, yeah, but if you're like the Niners, wouldn't you kind of see that as more like a cocky move? Like, oh, we're going to beat you without our best player anyway.
No, it's not really a cocky move because here's the thing is, honestly, with McCaffrey's injury history, dealing with a calf injury, ironically enough, but dealing with a calf injury and stuff like that, I just don't see them. I don't see the need in playing him. Jordan Mason had a good game last week. He could do the exact same here in this week.
He could do worse or better, I mean.
Yeah, and so I think that he'll do fine in that role. And then you give McCaffrey one more week to get fully healthy before the real tough opponents start to hit. And then you have him healthier than what he is now versus risking his health in a game where he's not really going to be all that needed.
Right. And yeah, there's just so much talent on the 49ers team that it's just going to be too hard for the Vikings to overcome. Whether they have a good running game or Sam Darnold plays well or the defense maybe makes a play or two, it's still going to be the Niners' game to lose here. This is a game that the 49ers should win. And if they don't, I feel like it'd be a little bit concerning unless, of course, there's like some sort of injury or something. God forbid.
Like Brock Purdy, maybe, I guess. Like, I don't know.
Maybe
Fred
something like
Warner,
that.
Nick Bosa.
Offensive line injuries. I mean, you never know. But yeah, got the Niners winning this one. And sorry, there is another 1 p.m. CBS game. I accidentally skipped over this one. Maybe the shitter of the week.
Patriots Seahawks.
It's the Chargers at the Panthers.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an entirely different game.
All right. Well, I don't think that this is going to be a good game at all. If you have the Chargers defense in fantasy, start them this week. 24-6. I think the Chargers destroy them. I honestly could see them being shut out in this game. I'm a little bit more nice of a person than that to get them shut out in week 2. But
yeah.
I'm sorry, but like that offense looked terrible. I mean,
Deontay
Johnson is not it. I mean, Adam Thielen's still washed. I don't see all these different players. Like Xavier Legette didn't have a good debut either. Bryce Young looked completely awful again. I mean, everyone thought with Dave Canales they'd be insane.
The quarterback whisperer.
Yeah, I kind of saw like this one coming. I don't think Bryce Young's going to amount to anything in the league. It's kind of sad. And I understand it's week 1, so there's a whole season to play. But if he doesn't at least improve this year, then I don't know what to say at that point. Because you're talking about a guy in Geno Smith, who Dave Canales turned into a god, basically, in 1 year. And you got a guy who really kind of fell off a cliff in Baker Mayfield, and he brought him back. 4 touchdowns, by the way, in week 1 for Baker Mayfield. So it's just, like, I don't know what to say if you can't get the most out of Bryce Young with Dave Canales, because Dave Canales has gotten the most out of all the other quarterbacks he's been with. So I do think that this is going to be a very big upset. Like, not upset, but, like, very big, like, just terrible game. I think 24-6 is fair. I think the Chargers could potentially score more, but again, Panthers fans, I feel for you, so 24-6.
Yeah, the Panthers even lost their best player last week, too, Derek Brown on the defensive line. Nothing seems to be going Carolina's way in recent years, and honestly, I kind of feel bad for the Panthers fans out there. But the Chargers are going to win this game. If the Panthers play anything close to how they did last week, this game is going to be over by the second quarter.
Yes.
Honestly. So, I got the Chargers winning this one.
I'm
Panthers.
not gonna lie. I think this is kind of funny, but I think I think it's gonna be like so many people are gonna watch J.K. Dobbins running like a 3-yard touchdown, and it's gonna be the game's over. I don't think they can score more than 7. I really don't.
It's sad because they kind of have the potential to, because they should be able to, like, maybe run the ball at least a little bit. You should be able to start at least getting something going offensively, but there's still nothing.
That D-line looks nice now with Jim Harbaugh there. The D-line looked very good in week 1.
It looked good last week. Khalil Mack went insane last season.
Then again, they played Zamir White and Alexander Madison. So
yeah, that's true. But we're going to move on to the Fox 1 p.m. games here. The first one being the Indianapolis Colts at the Green Bay Packers. And initially, if Jordan Love was going to play in this game,
this would be one of the games of the week.
Yeah, it would be, but probably not so much anymore, because now Malik Willis is set to start here against the Colts. And with how well Anthony Richardson played last week against the Texans, I feel like it's kind of hard not to go with the Colts in this game, because Malik Willis, in every game he's kind of really played, he hasn't really looked all that good. We know he can run with the football. We know he's a threat running with the ball, but in terms of passing, it's a pretty different story here.
He's like the very off-brand of Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, but I feel like if a backup quarterback can succeed in this league, it's going to be with the Packers because I feel like the Packers have a good system for a backup quarterback to maybe succeed at least a little bit. But even if he does play good a little bit in this matchup, I feel like the Colts are still going to win because the Colts do have a tough defense too, even though they did give up 29 last week. But it is the Texans they played with all the star power they have there. So I got the Colts winning this one. I think they're going to be able to, I feel like, run the ball a little bit. I think Richardson's going to be able to make a couple good plays. And I feel like once the Colts score maybe 20, 24 points, it's going to be too much for the Packers to overcome here because of the injury to the quarterback position. So, chalk me up for the Colts win in this one.
Yeah, 28-7, I think the Colts win. You're a little bit more in a favorable spot with Malik Willis than I am, per se. I don't think that he's going to have a good game at all. I think that this is going to be a Colts. This has got to be my lock of the week. I think the Colts. I don't think the Colts. I mean, I would say Chargers Panthers if I really had to.
Yeah, I was going to say Chargers Panthers.
But I do think that the Colts get it done too. I think that offense is going to continue off of what they had last week. I think that they're playing a much easier defense this week in the Packers compared to the Texans. I don't think it's that big of a jump, but I do think that the Packers defense is worse than the Texans defense. And if Richardson comes out and plays anything like he played last week, this game's over by halftime. I don't think that this is going to be close at all. I think Malik Willis maybe gets a rushing touchdown or something like that happens. They're going to lean on the ground a lot with Josh Jacobs, so I guess this is going to be the game where we see if Josh Jacobs is actually worth the money they gave him, because I think they're going to run the ball a ton with him in this game. I think that DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart shut that down, though. I think Zaire Franklin, Syracuse legend. I think that I think that he does very good. I can't see the Packers winning this one. I think that this one's going to be a crapshoot for the Packers. Kind of see what they have in Malik Willis, and I don't think that they're going to be happy with what that is.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that bad, but I won't rule it out happening, of course. But our next matchup here, this could be a shitter of the week. We got the 0-1 Giants at the 0-1 Commanders. In Washington. Who do you got in this one?
21-9. I have the Commanders winning this one. I think that Jaden Daniels has at least a decent game here. One thing I am worried about, though, is that the Giants kind of do play better in division matchups, as we saw with their game against the
Especially
Eagles.
Against the Commanders. Those games
and
are so
especially
close.
Against the Commanders. I do think that the Giants, this is one that I'm not excited that I picked the Commanders. I'm very nervous that the Giants are going to win this game, and that's only for one fact, and that's the pressure that the Giants defense gives. You have Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, and Kayvon Thibodeau on that front seven. I don't think that you're going to have a good game if you're Jaden Daniels. He's going to have to run around for his life entire game. The O-line looked garbage last week. Wait till this week. and this is going to be a bad game. I think that this is going to be a complete poop show. I don't know what else to say. I do think that they get at least a couple points. I think if they have the right game plan, 21's probably the most I can give them, but I think 21's fair for them. I think that they're going to bounce back from a crappy Week 1 performance against the Bucs where their defense was just garbage. And that's another thing for the Giants is the Giants could really win this one because of how bad that defense is. Daniel Jones could easily throw for a touchdown or two in this game. But I'm going to go with the Commanders 21-9. I know how it feels to pick the Giants in Week 1, so yeah, I'm not going to do that this week. I'm going to go Commanders 21-9.
Yeah, I will say I was really close to picking the Giants in this one.
Yeah.
Because it is a divisional matchup, and when these two teams play, it's a bit different than
the Giants
were
2-0 against them last week. Last year, I mean.
Yeah, and the games that they play, they're always I feel like every game they play always ends up being 14-14 at the 2-minute warning of the game, you know?
Yeah, I know.
It's always a really tough game, and then on top of that, the Giants have an insane defensive line, like you mentioned, against that Commanders' offensive line. Jaden Daniels will certainly be running for his life in this one. You can almost guarantee that. But I think with Daniels' running ability, I think that's going to be enough to help him win this game.
You're picking the Giants.
Huh?
Picking the Giants?
No, I'm picking the Commanders.
Oh, I said Daniel.
No, Jaden Daniels' running game.
Daniel Jones.
Oh.
I heard Daniel. I didn't hear Daniel.
With how Daniel Jones played and how that entire offense played last week against the Vikings, I don't see him playing much better against the Commanders' defense.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah, honestly, the Giants are almost in a similar situation to what the Panthers are in, except they're in a better situation because they're not the Panthers. But Daniel Jones has to improve. Until I see him get better, I feel like I'm just gonna keep picking against the Giants here, regardless of how insane that defensive line may be. I'm gonna be going against the Giants for
a lot of people are
future.
saying Jaden Daniels could get hurt and stuff like that with how
anyone can get injured.
No, I know, but I'm saying Jaden Daniels is injury prone. He was injured 3 times in college, and on top of that, you're going up against a team like the Giants D line right now. I think that if there's any game to circle for a potential Jaden Daniels injury, it would be this game. As much as I don't root for that, obviously, but just want to throw that out there because this could be the game where all hell breaks loose in Washington.
It could, you never know. But moving on to the next game, this could be the game of the week. I think it is right here. You got the 1-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the 1-0 Detroit Lions. What do you have?
I have the Lions winning 31-27. If this is not a shootout, then I think that I'm going to be very disappointed.
I think everyone will be very disappointed.
I think that Baker Mayfield went nuts last week. I think he continues to do that.
He did go nuts.
Yeah, I think that he'll go fine again in this week. I think they'll play very good. It's just I can't go against Detroit. I don't like the pass defense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think the Lions are going to play very good in the passing game. I mean, you got Jameson Williams against, who do they even have at corner number 2? I don't know. Amon-Ra's going to feast in this game, I feel like. I think he has at least 100 and a touchdown. I think that the 49ers really kind of, showed how to beat Amon-Ra last year, and so everybody's been using, that against them. Amon-Ra in week 1 did not look good at all against the Rams, but I do think that there's nobody that can cover Amon-Ra St. Brown on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't think there's anybody in the linebacking core that's going to stop Jahmyr Gibbs. You got an old-ass Levante David, and that's about it in the linebacking core. You lost Devin White to the Eagles in free agency. So, give me the Lions to win this game. I think it's a very close game. I think it's back and forth. Hopefully the game of the week. I do think that this will be good. I think it could be another Lions game of the week because last week I think the Lions versus Rams was the game of the week as well.
Yeah.
So, 31-27, I have the Lions winning this one.
I will say, in terms of the Lions' offense, they kind of did scare me a little bit last week because it is the Rams' defense they played.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is week 1, so I'll probably give them a little bit of leeway there.
Another thing is they just played the Rams last year.
They did. That was
playoffs.
the Rams' last game of the season, their first game of the season this year.
Yeah.
And the thing that's funny, too, is that
it's almost like a vendetta thing.
this is literally a repeat of the wild card and divisional round for the Lions. They had the Rams at home, and the week after they had the Bucs at home.
I mentioned that to my friend.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing all over again, and I think the score will be pretty similar, too. I got the Lions winning this one also. Like you mentioned, I think Gibbs will probably have a good day. I think Baker Mayfield's going to have another good day here, too, and I think that's what makes this matchup even tougher.
You have Evans, I have Godwin, so, I mean,
yeah,
we're going to feast, so.
Yeah, I hope Evans feasts more, but
you know what?
I think the offense for Tampa Bay is going to have a better game than it did in the playoffs last year, so I don't think Mayfield's going to make that interception mistake. If they lose this game, it's going to be because of their defense. I don't think it's going to be because of Mayfield this time. But at the same time, the Lions, it feels like for a lot of people that this is their year, and for games like this is games that the Lions should win if they want to make it to that top with this thing right here.
Yep.
So I got the Lions winning this one, but I'm not going to rule out the Buccaneers winning this one because I can definitely see the Buccaneers escaping this game with a win here. But we're going to move on to another game here. Another battle of 1-0 teams. It is the New Orleans Saints at the Dallas Cowboys. We know the Saints did have an incredible game against the Carolina Panthers, but it was against the Carolina Panthers. And the Cowboys, they played a lot better than I thought they were going to against the Browns.
But it was against the Browns.
The Browns have a really good defense, all right?
They have 34 points, yeah, I get it, but they had the
33
interception.
points.
They had the fumble, the interception, and the punt return touchdown.
Yeah, the defense played really well, too. And they don't have Nick Chubb, the Browns, and
that's what's going to be them.
Their offensive line struggled a lot.
This year's going to be garbage for the Browns because no Nick Chubb.
But, man, I got to go with the Cowboys here. I don't know. I still don't fully trust the Saints here because they played very rough last season, and starting off with the Panthers doesn't really gauge a team that much, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, and I think the Cowboys definitely showed a lot. It's going to show Prescott's going to play his amazing regular season play that he did last year.
Here we go.
Running game, I'm still a little bit iffy on right now. I'm not going to be like, the running game for Dallas is great with Ezekiel Elliott in the back there, But I think the defense is going to have a really good game here. I think Trayvon Diggs is going to play great. I think Micah Parsons is going to get a sack or two in this matchup. I just don't see the Saints beating a Cowboys team in Dallas.
Yeah.
If they do, Derek Carr's back in his prime, baby. But
something.
Yeah, I'm going with the Cowboys in this one.
I'm going to have to roll with you here. 31-17, Dallas gets the job done. I think that New Orleans does keep it close. I think that 17 points is very fair. Obviously, like you said, they played the Panthers in week 1, so I'm so low on the New Orleans Saints this year, it's not even funny. I do think they could have 4, maybe 5 wins at most.
2 against the Panthers.
Yeah, literally 2 of them will be against the Panthers. I think the Panthers probably go like 1-16 at this point. Like
0-16?
0-17. It could happen. Who knows? But I do think that the Saints are going to kind of keep this one close in the first half. I think Dallas breaks away in the second half. I think everyone's going to be like, okay, maybe the Saints are legit. No, they're not. But I do think that Dallas comes out in the second half, has a very good game. Obviously, I don't think that Marshawn Lattimore is going to play too well against CeeDee Lamb. I think that that'll be a decent matchup. But Brandon Cooks is going to feast against the backup cornerback, which is Paulson Adebo. I just don't see him stopping Brandon Cooks. Cooks will cook in this game. And I do think that the Cowboys inevitably walk away with a win in this one. I think 31-17 is pretty fair.
All right, we're going to move on to the last Fox 1 p.m. game. It is the Seattle Seahawks, the 1-0 Seahawks.
Okay, bro.
Against the 1-0 New England Patriots in Foxborough.
You had the one that I had being an upset, which was the Broncos over the Seahawks, and the actual upset, the Bengals losing to the Patriots.
Yeah.
Here in week number 2.
I
think that this is a very good game. I think that these two teams are they're kind of close. I don't see that I think the Patriots defense plays better than people expect in this one. I think 20-10 the Seahawks get the job done. I'm not going to pick against Seattle twice in a row, but I do think that the Seahawks have a solid game. I think it'll be an all right one. The Patriots offense is just what's uninspiring to me. You have Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. I mean, if this is Drake May, I think that they could very well win this game. It's just Jacoby Brissett's going to do a lot of throws like that are 5 yards or less, and I just don't think that that's going to work out well. I mean, like look at last year with the Bills with Joe Brady and Ken Dorsey before him, just throwing 3-yard like screens to Diggs every play. It was just that's really annoying. So I think that's going to be a lot of what they do this year, try to get people out in space, do things like that, run the ball down their throat with Ramondre Stevenson. So I do think that the Patriots are built to beat a team like Seattle, but at the same time, I'm going to lean Seahawks in this one. 20-10, they get the job done.
Yeah, and the game the Patriots played last week was impressive, don't get me wrong. Like, nobody expected them to win that game.
The Bengals suck in week 1.
They do suck in week 1.
They're like the opposite of the Steelers, who are their division rivals.
Yeah, I know. But the Bengals, they do have a lot of stuff going on internally right now. Like, T. Higgins didn't play last week. There't been, like, issues with Jamar Chase.
Joe Burrow's dealing with a finger issue.
There's another thing right there. So there's a lot of stuff going around with Cincinnati right now. So I feel like if the Patriots played the Bengals, like, mid-season or something, it would have been the game that people expected, which was be the Bengals blowing them out.
Right. But beginning of the year with the turmoil.
Yeah, with everything going on right there. But I got Seattle winning also.
Over there in Cincy?
Yeah, over there in Cincinnati. But yeah, I got the Seattle Seahawks winning this one. I think Geno Smith is going to have another couple good plays. You're low on Seattle. I'm still kind of high on Geno Smith and the Seahawks offense. Ooh. Even though they did score 26 last week, so it wasn't like overly impressive performance. Right. But they still did more than enough to get the job done. I think Geno Smith still has a decent game. I think it is going to be a close game. I don't think they're going to be able to run away. I think the Patriots defense will play pretty well, but the Patriots offense isn't that impressive. They only scored 16 points last week, and I don't think they're going to score much more, if at all, this week. The running game might still be decent for New England, but I just don't really see anything really working out for them this week. But yeah, I also have the Seahawks winning as we move on to the only 4:05 o'clock game on Fox this week. It is the 1-0 or 0-1, sorry. LA Rams at the 0-1 Arizona Cardinals.
I think this is a very good game as well. I do think that the Rams defense is not that great. I mean, look at what the Cardinals did against Buffalo last week. I mean, we were at the game, of course, but to kind of see how that game went down for Buffalo on defense, to give up 28, I think that 20 points given up in this game is more than reasonable. I think that the Rams are going to win 27-20. I think Matt Stafford has a very good game again. I do like that Kyron Williams probably feasts in this game. I'm not going to lie with how bad the D-line was against the Bills. I think they kind of understand that. They're going to come into this game and run the ball as much as they have to. Matt Stafford's going to play a game manager role in this situation, and I think that he works perfectly in that role. No one's guarding Cooper Kupp on that Cardinals secondary, like Max Melton. Yeah, no, it's not happening. So Cooper Kupp's gonna have a good game as well, hopefully anyway for my fantasy. But I do think that he'll play very good. I think that Rams offense could easily score 35 in this game. I really do. I mean, the Bills struggled so much last week, and we still managed to put up 34 points. The fact is, I don't think the Rams are gonna get stopped all that often in this game. Maybe once, maybe twice, but I don't think that the Cardinals are going to play that great on defense. Right now, that's what's holding them back from being a decent team. Like, probably 8-9 win team is their defense right now. And until they get that fixed, then they're going to have these games where they're going to lose by 7 to 10 points, and it's going to be higher scoring games, like this one with 27-20 in LA's favor.
Yeah, I also got the Rams winning this game here, but I don't think they're going to be able to score as much points as you think they are, because the amount of injuries they sustained on that offensive line, and of course,
You're playing one of the worst D-lines in the league, though.
Yeah, but still, losing a starting offensive lineman is still a big deal.
The Cardinals lost their starting offensive lineman, too.
They don't even have a starting offensive line.
Jonah Williams.
Yeah, but
they're basically playing
I think the Rams are still going to be able to run the ball. I think they're still going to be efficient on offense. I don't think they're going to score 35 points like what you think. But
I said 27.
Oh, well, yeah, sorry. You said they could score up to 35.
I do think that they could definitely get to 35 with how bad the freaking Cardinals defense is.
Yeah, but also looking at the Cardinals offense, it did have potential, but it was pretty messy, I felt like. Marvin Harrison Jr., he was pretty inconsistent. He had that wide open drop that he had early in the game.
He had a wide open play at the end that Kyler Murray just missed him.
Yeah, that too. Like, you don't
Which a lot of people are going too nuts about that because, no offense, but that whole play, it was the fourth down right at the end of the game when they failed. That whole thing was him snapping the ball and instantly throwing it to Michael Wilson. There was no reads involved in that play because they knew that we were going to blitz. So what they did is they just threw it mad quick. Obviously, he's not throwing it to Marvin Harrison on that play because the whole play design was to throw it up to Michael Wilson, who couldn't come down with it. So,
right.
People feed too much into that, but still.
Yeah. But I do think it is going to be a close game. But at the end of the day, I got the Rams winning this one. As we move on to the 4:25 p.m. games on CBS, the first of which, the Cincinnati Bengals at the Kansas City Chiefs. I might keep this one a little bit short. I got the Chiefs winning this one. Big shocker. The Bengals, they, of course, had a rough week last week. I don't think they're going to play as bad this week, but I still don't see them winning. Jamar Chase really couldn't get going last week. Joe Burrow really couldn't get going last week. Joe Burrow's dealing again with that finger issue. T. Higgins, who knows if he's going to even be playing this week.
Right.
And KC showed a lot of what they could do this year. They could do a lot of damage in the league. But the Chiefs did show me last week in week 1 that they are beatable. Again, like usual, you just have to play a really great game in order for it to happen. And I don't see it happening this week. I think if the Bengals win this one, it is going to be a shocker. I think Mahomes is going to have a pretty decent game. I think the running game is going to be good for Kansas City.
Right.
And I just don't see Cincinnati keeping up with Kansas City offensively in this one. And normally the case is, well, who's going to win this one? Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. It's going to be a great matchup. I don't necessarily see that happening this week. I think the Chiefs are going to kind of run away with this one in the second half. And I don't see it being a one-score game. I think the Chiefs are going to win this game by 2 scores. So, yeah, I got the Chiefs winning this one.
Okay, so hear me out.
Oh, no.
Hear me out.
I'm picking the Chiefs still.
I think that the Cincinnati Bengals had a very tough week 1, and I get that. But they're heading into week 2. Burrow's finger is probably not going to be nearly as bad as it was in week 1. He couldn't really throw the ball too well. He's been dealing with it for a few weeks, so I feel like that's probably going to go away sooner rather than later. I think T. Higgins does come back for this game. I do think Jamar Chase plays better than what he did in week 1. Despite not looking bad in week 1, I think that he plays a very good game again in this game. I do think that if there's anybody on defense that can stop them, it's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals, Lou Anarumo. I think that he has a very solid game plan every time they go against the Kansas City Chiefs. But It's the Chiefs.
There's the
and that's the thing is I really do think that this game's going to be close. I feel bad for Cincinnati. I mean, like 0-2 is a very tough place to be in the NFL.
They're used to it though. Every year they start 0-2.
Oh yeah,
at this
I know.
point.
But the thing is being 0-2 in this league with how, especially in a unfavoring AFC East, like
North,
not literally North, but I meant just AFC in general. I don't know why I said division, but just playing in an unfavoring AFC right now where you have teams like the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, the Steelers, the Browns, all these other teams in this conference that are so good, so competitive. The Dolphins, the Jets, like even the Colts now looking pretty solid. The Texans, obviously. All these teams in the AFC, if you start out 0-2, your season could very well be over already. And I'm sorry to say it, but they're going to go 0-2 this year. 28-20, I have the Chiefs winning this one. I do think it's a one-score game, but literally the closest you can be in a one-score game, 8 points. So I do think that they do end up playing a solid game. I think that they're in it in the fourth quarter. I think it's Chiefs-Bengals. I think it's like a classic at this point where we know it's going to be a good game. Like the Bills could be complete garbage, and I still think that they hang in there with the Chiefs and stuff. It's just kind of how it goes in rivalry games.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like most rivalry games are just so competitive. And I think that this is going to be one of those games that's also very competitive all the way to the end. 28-20, I have the Chiefs winning. But if Cincinnati wins, I could see that happening if they turn it on with that offense. I think Cincinnati could win this game.
All right, going on to our last 4:25 p.m. game on CBS of the week.
Probably one of the worst games.
Yeah, true. It is the 1-0 Pittsburgh Steelers at the 0-1 Denver Broncos. Who do you got?
I have the Broncos. No, I'm kidding. I learned from last week not to pick the Broncos, but anyway, 20-3. Pittsburgh wins in this one. I don't think that the Broncos offense is going to be able to do anything. They were in absolute hell last week. They're going to be even it's like they were at the top of hell. Now they're at the bottom of hell. They're playing TJ Watt and the Steelers defense. Like Bo Nix is going to have approximately 2 seconds to throw the ball, and if not,
if he's lucky.
Yeah, if he's lucky. And I think that TJ Watt probably has a record like 10 sacks in this game. Because I'm not going to lie, I don't think the Broncos offensive line is good. Maybe Mike McGlinchey shuts him down at least a little bit, but still. I don't see TJ Watt being shut down completely by Mike McGlinchey of all people. The Niners got rid of him for a reason. So I do think that the Broncos offense will manage 3 points. Congratulations. But I do think the Steelers are going to struggle again on offense. It's just going to be kind of like a punt. Finally, they score a field goal. Punt. Finally, they score a field goal. Punt. Touchdown. Yeah, finally. Kind of game for the Steelers. I think they're going to have a lot of offensive drives because of how bad the Broncos offense is going to be. It's going to be instant 3 and out, and they're back on offense each time for the majority of this game. So I do think 20 points is fair. I think that Russell Wilson does not start this game, so I think.
Wait, they already announced Fields is playing.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know about that, but Justin Fields, I think. He's the better option anyway, in my honest opinion.
As long as they keep winning, Justin Fields is going to stay starting.
Well, I mean, they're playing the Denver Broncos, so, I mean, you better win this one. And if you don't, then let's ride with Russell Wilson.
You're right.
So,
yeah, I hope Bo Nix is prepared for this game.
I wanted Wilson to play this game only because...
Yeah, revenge game and everything, yeah. But this is going to be...
The only part that would have made it even cool.
This game is going to... take a couple thousand miles to get done with because the Broncos are going to be in for hell against this one against TJ Watt.
They're 5,280 miles above surface level with their stadium.
Really? No way.
And they're 5,280 miles in hell.
Yeah.
In this game. Below the Earth's surface.
I think the Steelers are going to be... I think they're going to play better offensively than they did last week because the Falcons do have a really decent defense. And
really decent.
Yeah, very decent.
Very good.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. But this is the Broncos defense that they're playing. So I think it's going to be easier for the Steelers to move the ball. I think it's going to be easier for them to run the ball. I think it's going to be easier for them to pass the ball.
Damn, you're sounding like 31-5.
You're not going to score that much.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to change my score prediction from 20-3 to 20-2 because the Broncos are just elite at getting safeties, apparently.
But yeah, the Steelers are winning this one. This one... Doing lock of the week. It's happening. Steelers are winning.
You're going to eat those words.
Moving on, Sunday Night Football. The 1-0 Chicago Bears at the 1-0 Houston Texans. This game, I'm so sorry, Bears fans. You're going to come back to earth a little bit. This game is not going to be close. The Texans are going to pummel you into the ground. I think, anyway. The offense was very lackluster last week, and they're playing an even tougher and even angrier defense in Houston. I think Stroud is going to have a decent day. I don't think he's going to go crazy or by any stretch. The Bears have a good defense, don't get me wrong. But I don't think the Bears are going to have much going for them offensively. I think there's going to be a lot of dysfunction there. Caleb Williams is going to struggle to get the ball downfield. I think the Texans are going to have, I'd say, pretty efficient day. It's not going to be like a masterclass by any stretch of the imagination. But this is a game that Houston should win. In terms of like looking at the big picture in the AFC and everything, this is a game that Houston should win, and I think they will win in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, everything you said is very accurate for me, too. I have 24-13 Houston, but the thing is, I do think that the Bears' defense is very good. It's just you're playing a very good offense in Houston, so I think that's why they get 24. But you got that offense, and that's a very big problem. You played the Titans' defense last week, and you mustered 93 yards passing with your number one overall pick at quarterback. I don't see how it's going to be any better for him in this game. You're going up against a 10 miles better defense in the Houston Texans compared to the Titans. I do think that the Bears finally do get an offensive touchdown, which is awesome for them. Congratulations. It only took 2 weeks. But basically the thing is, though, is Houston's such a good team. It's on Sunday Night Football. Caleb Williams is probably going to struggle. It's going to be under the lights and stuff, which a lot of people are saying the Bears could win because he's very good under the lights.
Oh, my God.
But I don't see the Bears winning this game at all. I could see it being closer, maybe like 24-16, 17, but 24-13 is where I'm at. I think they get 2 field goals and a touchdown on offense, so I do think that this one's pretty irrelevant as well. If we're talking before the season started, I'd been so hyped for this game, considering how much hype was surrounding the Bears now with the new regime. But Matt Eberflus cannot coach an offensive play for his life, man. He's given Nathaniel Hackett a run for his money there. So I do think that they're going to play very bad on offense, and that's going to be what does them in this game.
Yeah, I'm not sure the Bears fans are used to hearing all this negativity on him after all this hype in the offseason. But moving on to the Monday Night Football, the only chance we have to disagree on one game this week, because we've agreed on literally every single other game.
Oh, geez. So that means no matter what, you're going to have that again next week.
Oh, because we're both picking the same team this week?
Yeah.
Well, I'm picking the Falcons in this one, so
are you actually?
Maybe not. No, I'm picking the Eagles.
Oh, damn.
If the Falcons didn't struggle so much against the Steelers last week, I think maybe Falcons got a shot, but they did play against TJ Watt.
You're gonna have a 2-game lead on me still now.
Yeah, it's true.
Picking the same team.
I'm just gotta keep picking the same teams as you, and I'll be guaranteed to win this.
That's
week.
Crazy. Yo.
But the Falcons did have a tough draw playing TJ Watt and the Steelers defense last week, so.
And week one's always a hard week, especially for a new player on a new team like Kirk Cousins. With so much hype and stuff.
I do think the Falcons are going to play a lot better, especially offensively this week against the Eagles, because I don't think the Eagles are going to blow them out. I think it's going to be more so of a high-scoring game.
Yep.
But I think the Eagles have so much more going for them. They have I think both teams have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball, but it comes down to which team has more time to kind of mesh together. And the Eagles kind of have less new pieces. They really only have Saquon Barkley is the one big addition on offense. Right. And the Falcons have Kirk Cousins, at quarterback, which is very different compared to having a new starting running back. And Saquon Barkley went insane last week. He had a great debut. Yeah, I know. I had him in fantasy. So happy about that.
31 points.
But yeah, I think this is gonna be similar to the Eagles Packers game in week 1 almost a little bit. I think it's gonna
Cousins gets injured at the end.
I think this game will be a little bit more in favor of the Eagles this week than it was last week. I don't think it's going to be as close, but I think for the first half at least, it's going to be very similar. I think it's going to play out very similar to how it did last week in Sao Paulo. But as this game winds down and the clock ticks to 0, I think the Eagles are going to come out on top in this one.
Yeah, I have to agree, man, and I hate that we agreed on every pick because
it's unfortunate.
That's something you'd never want to see is all of us going.
I get this for 2 weeks. Yay!
Yeah, I can't. But 27-20 in favor of the Eagles. I think that this is, again, more of an offensive game. But the thing is, I think the Falcons' defense is going to be kind of in the worst-case scenario they can be in. Because here's the thing. I do think that they're not going to have a great game passing the ball with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown against A.J. Terrell. And I don't think they'll have a great game in that regard. But one thing that the Falcons defense is not that great at is the run defense, and they're playing Saquon Barkley in this game, and Jalen Hurts, who's a mobile quarterback that can run. I just think that that's just a recipe for disaster. I think it's going to end up being like one of those games where Hurts runs the ball 3 or 4 times to get first downs. Barkley's going to get a lot of carries, going to get a lot of yards, and you're going to find that A.J. Brown still probably gets around 60 to 70 yards because they're going to run that play-action pass, and they're going to get him a few times. It's going to be one of those games for the Eagles offense, but for the Falcons, I do think that they finally put the pieces at least a little bit back together after a very uninspiring Week 1 game. I do think that they'll be a lot better, though. I think Kirk Cousins is going to show some flashes here. It's Monday Night Football with Kirk Cousins. I'm sorry, but like in Minnesota, that was his whole thing. He couldn't win under the lights. He's got to prove me some sort of other way. And I was really debating picking the Falcons for this game before the podcast started. And I was thinking to myself, I don't think I can make that kind of a bet on the Falcons. But it's so hard to see them be 0-3 because they play the Chiefs next week. So there's a very good chance that the Falcons are 0-3 after this week.
It'd be amazing if they beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So nice.
But we'll see how it goes. I think that they do inevitably lose this one in a close one, 27-20.
All right, and that'll do it for our picks for this week. No disagreements this week, but maybe next week. Who knows?
Maybe next week.
If you guys are listening over on Spotify, you guys can subscribe to my YouTube, Theo Meister on YouTube. Got my score predictions on there. If you're watching us on YouTube, this is also on Spotify. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go Bills. And
Go Bills.
As I say, life forms out.